afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for joining me today, Wednesday, September 3rd. When did we get to September? I don't know. I need a slow down or pause button for my days, but I won't complain. We are live on worldviewtube.com, or if you have our app, if you don't, just install it. It's for free. You can watch us on worldviewtube.com or worldviewtube app. We're also live on X America News. Also live on my platforms on Substack, Facebook, and YouTube. Wherever you're watching us, make sure to click that share button because, well, that's how we get the message out. From one person sharing and one person sharing from there, and hopefully, before you know it, many people sharing the message. Today's topic is, well, as you know, very close to my heart and fairly not discussed the right way. So I kind of really enjoy my every other Wednesday schedule. And yes, as I promised yesterday, and we have said every other Wednesday, I will be joined by Barry Nussbaum here in a minute. But before we bring him on, I just want to mention a few things. Number one, the new series of Any Time of the Day has launched as of yesterday. So you can catch those exclusively on my TikTok. Yes, on TikTok, it's called Any Time of the Day, or on my YouTube channel, or on my Substack. Those are the only three places that I am uploading those. They are about a minute or a minute and a half segments where I will go over a verse of Quran or a hadith or part of Reliance of the Traveler, making certain points. And on cue, absolutely, without a doubt, the first one came out and we had plenty of Muslims or sympathizers coming with, well, that's out of context and that was about war. And I can't tell you how excited I am to start using their own comments to make more clips out of the topic. Anyhow, Any Time of the Day is back after almost 3 years of gap. Don't ask me, but it is back. So find it on TikTok, Substack, and my YouTube channel. Second announcement is after a long time, or I should be very specific, after 7 years, I am coming back to Minnesota, northern Minnesota, September 24th. I will be sharing the stage with Sharam Hadian, and he will be discussing polar opposites, Islam, Christianity, and I will be discussing the new PR, not so new, but the PR system of the Western Muslim woman selling the lies of women under Sharia. So I think it's going to be interesting. If you can make it, I will have the information, the address, location, time. I'll have those for the show as a B-roll next week, but I will be posting that information on my social media platforms starting tomorrow. If you can make it, come on over. Let's hang out. Let's educate each other. And if you cannot, that's all right. Because I believe, like any other speaking engagement, I'll be able to bring the footages from that day and run it on my show spot whenever I come back. I think it'd be a Monday afterwards. But yes, September 24th, Minnesota, northern Minnesota. I'm very excited. I'm not sure a little what, but I will ask either you can show up or not. Do have us in your prayers as we go through September 24th. I think that was all the announcements I had for today. I also wanted you to, those of you who joined me yesterday on Mission for Freedom, I wanted you to know that Miriam Shah is very grateful for all of your prayers, all your thoughts, all your messages, all your kind words. She is hanging in there and she will be returning as soon as she can. But she did want me to make sure that you all know that she's very grateful for your support while she's going through these outside tough time, losing her father. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Barry Nussbaum. Does he need an introduction? I don't think so. You all know Barry. He is a dear friend, fellow truth teller, and founder of American Truth Project. How's it going, Barry?
So great to be back with you, Annie. And I don't even know where we're going to start. It's an avalanche of news about Israel and all things that need to be discussed on the topics that you and I seem to never get enough time to tell everybody everything they need to know on these subjects.
Agreed. That was the thing as I was putting my watch. Actually, for some reason, I forgot to put my watch on before sitting here in front of cameras. Went back to do it. I'm like, okay, you got to make the intro really brief, really quick, because you two always run out of time, and you touch on 2 topics out of 7. So you got to bring him on quickly. And I know where we're going to start, Barry.
Okay.
Because this morning, I cannot wait for this news to hit mainstream in all areas, and I'm just going to sit back. I already made my popcorn with extra butter to hear all the propaganda. But I reported this morning, getting it from the Israeli sources, that Israel launches new spy satellite. It is apparently called OFEC 19, and it was launched into the orbit. And the message set by the defense minister of Israel Katz, he said, this is a direct message to enemies. We are watching you anytime, anywhere. And this system seemed to be able to capture images of objects as small as 50 centimeters, day or night. Wow.
It's all true. And Israel is very proud that they can put this satellite up from one of their air bases with their own rockets, their own telemetry, their own tracking, their complete own technology, beholding to no one. They're the only country in the world that has a completely independent space program. And unfortunately, they need to do this to be able to check on their enemies, which are numerous and quite active, especially in the Middle East.
Yes, and that, as you know, soon this is going to be like, oh, Israel's spying on everybody, and Israel is the head of all the spies, and Israel is, behind everything that goes wrong with the planet. But as soon as I saw the report, and before I even translated and put it up on my pages, the first thing that came to my mind, which I concluded the post with, was how can people be so blind to reality behind everything that's happening? You have Israel who's working. First of all, nobody in any shape or form can argue with the fact that Israel has been way ahead of all of us when it comes to technology. They have advanced technology everywhere. Now, that aside, they are using their abilities and their smarts and their equipment to create more layers of protection. And let's be honestly, Barry, this is not going to be just a spying. Well, it's phrased as to the enemies, we're watching you everywhere. But we have common enemies. Israel's enemies are the Western enemies. So they're watching for us too. It's a layer of protection for us as well. And then you have Iran, who's using everything they have, from smarts to technology to time and efforts and money, for bloodbath and destruction. How can anyone not know which side to pick? How?
If you phrase the question the way you did, well, then the answer is logically no choice. It's obvious. Unfortunately, truth and justice and equality and logic and the Bible and God have no place in that question to, unfortunately, hundreds of millions of people around the world. It's irrelevant to them. It's the same kind of answer you have to give to why do the Muslims in Gaza and Judea and Samaria and Iran raise their children to value death more than life? It's so antithetical to the way we were raised ethically, morally, religiously, that it seems bizarre. Those people, unlike the entire animal kingdom, don't believe in survival. They believe in death, which is why, as is often said, it is a cult of death. They worship death. They look forward to death because death is better than life. It's the same thing here. What should be lauded as a wonderful achievement is looked at in every possible negative connotation that could be used, even though it's a tremendous achievement. It's a tremendous scientific achievement. But it's not looked at that way by most of the world, unfortunately.
Yes, but here's where the hypocrisy or conflict is for me. So, yes, no question about it. the cult of death celebrates death. But then their alliance is with the side that is trying so hard to become God and pretty much cheat death. How do we justify that? Because, red is all about kill everybody and die and go to, get your 72 versions in Allah's heaven. But then you have red. I mean, Palantir is a perfect example. They're trying so hard to cheat death and, live forever and, put these chips in their brain where they won't die. It just makes no sense. And I know I'm all about logic, right? 2 + 2 = 4, no matter who you are, no matter what gender you are. To me, 2 + 2 is 4. But this contradiction just doesn't make sense to me. Like, they want to hate on Israel's technology, but then you crickets when it comes to, again, Palantir, because that's my new obsession.
It goes back, I think, to the basis of that religion. I'm putting it in quotes because I don't believe it's a religion. I believe it's a dictatorial way of life that encompasses all your thoughts for you. So all you have to do is follow, and thinking is not necessary. I'm referring to the religion of Islam, of course. There is no logical basis in many of the beliefs. And so it's observe. And what I mean by observe, follow the principles, the teachings that are laid out in all of the scriptures, whether it's the Quran or the Hadith or whatever. And if you need to question, well, then it's your fault because you didn't read something correctly. And so logic drops out of the conversation. And once you have the opinion that thinking is not necessary and independent intellectual discourse is not necessary and discussion is outlawed, well, then all the limits are off. And there's no belief system that you could not be convinced to follow because thinking is not allowed. Questioning is borderline apostasy. And when you see the Jews that you didn't get around to killing before they launched the satellite, well, that's looked at as A, embarrassing, and B, more importantly, another reason to throw on the pile of why the Jews are doing everything the Quran predicted, which is control the world, prevent the worldwide domination of Islam, which of course is the goal.
Exactly.
So embarrassments like a satellite that can see little tiny pieces of the earth from 100 miles up, well, that's not to be celebrated, even though we sit here and go, wow, how did they pull that off? That's amazing. No billion-dollar budget, no Elon Musk, no NASA, no U.S. Air Force. They did it all by themselves.
No China.
Yeah, exactly.
No China. Yes. We got to head to our first ad break, but I want to say congratulations. Aside my bias, aside my fight, this is amazing. This is huge. And if nobody else is going to acknowledge it, I will personally say thank you to all the brains behind the operation of the satellite and the government of Israel for approving it and launching it, because I know it does add a layer of protection to my life personally right here in the United States of America. Guys, we're going to take our first ad break. We be right back, and I will glance at your comments. So if you have any questions or comments for Barry or myself, put them in the comment section and we'll grab them when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my artist studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. finish this painting, but I'm sure, for at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfthestudio.com. Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. And yes, that painting was finished. I know you keep hearing that, but literally every day I need to go finish another piece of art. And on that note, first of all, let me say thank you. You guys are amazing. Your custom orders are coming in faster than I can even read them, let alone finish them. I appreciate your patience as you wait for me to create these pieces and send them over. And for those of you who have not heard, I am accepting custom orders on the cross necklace, the one I'm wearing. All you need to do is either send me a direct email at liveuptofreedom@gmail.com or send me an email via my Etsy account, which is lutfthestudio.com. Let me know your color combination. You can pick 2 colors. This is a blue and silver combination. You need to let me know what kind of chain you like, if you like the matching black band or you want a gold or silver chain. And your order will be submitted. I appreciate all of your support. And for anyone who's not looking for necklaces, we still do have our bundles going on and few new products coming within the next few weeks. Okay, let's bring Barry back on. We started with what I would call a powerful achievement. Those of us who still have a bit of logic left can, establish and connect the dots that this is to be celebrated. Now, Barry, to me, there is another situation or another scenario that I personally am celebrating and praying for success, but there is a lot of madness going around, and that is what Netanyahu called the decisive phase. Our IDF is making progress into Gaza cities. Where are you at with decisive phase?
It reminds me historically of 1945 when the Allies were this close to conquering Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany, especially around the time of Hitler's suicide in the bunker, the Führer bunker in Berlin. The Germans wanted to negotiate peace, and they reached out to the Allied command and said, we want to negotiate a settlement. And Eisenhower, who was the supreme commander of the Allied forces, said there will be no negotiation. Absolute, unconditional surrender. Absolutely no conditions. And the Germans made a lot of noise for a couple of days and then gave up. And they laid down their arms unconditionally. The Japanese, the same thing. It took 2 atomic bombs to get it done, but then the Japanese met on the Missouri battleship in Tokyo Harbor and signed the surrender unconditionally. The very bizarre, and I mean that word, historically bizarre situation we're in now is the entire Western world, with the exception of a couple of brave people like Donald Trump, like Geert Wilders in Holland, and there's a phenomenal South American president now that I just love, Melu. There's very few that are saying Israel must finish the job. The idea to leave a Nazi death cult existing with their weapons in the name of Hamas in Gaza is suicide for Israel. Every single time there's been a truce, and we've discussed the concept of truce /Hudna, which everyone that watches is not a truce in the true sense of the word. It's just a temporary cessation of violence until you get strong enough to defeat and kill your enemies. That's the way Hamas is looked at every time they stop shooting rockets. We're done. There'll be peace. And then they make a lot of rockets, and then they start shooting rockets into apartment buildings in Israel. Israel is in the same position that the Allies were in World War II. Unless and until Hamas is completely and totally destroyed, 1. 2, prevented from ever coming back to power with arms, and 3, all the hostages are back in Israel, there will be and can be no peace. And the people that are demonstrating in capitals around the country, including where you're going, my God, you're going to the belly of the beast in Minnesota. I'm so proud of you. You're so brave, where they are demonstrating solidarity for the Palestinian people. You know, in none of those demonstrations do they have the humanity to say, release the hostages that are in cages underground. Through the world, there's never been demonstrations supporting the slaughtering Nazi-like enemy and ignoring the people taken prisoner against their will who are not even combatants in a war. Citizens, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, children. So Israel doesn't have a choice. If they don't wipe out Hamas, Hamas will come back. It's no different than if you have a lawn full of weeds and you just tell your son to go cut the grass. And he says, but Dad, there's all these weeds. Just cut the grass, it'll look fine. Those weeds, the roots are still there. They will come back thicker than they ever were. And now you've got twice the problem. And if Israel doesn't pull those weeds out by the root, they're going to have twice the problem in 6 months or a year. The tunnels have to go. Hamas has to go. Those people have to be eliminated completely. And then the question of the day after can truly be discussed in a new unit of time. I'm happy to talk about it, but it's not going to be reality, not as long as Bibi's in power and has the backing of Donald J. Trump. And thank God he does.
Yes, I will agree with pretty much 97% of what you said. And here's where I disagree. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for Trump to call Bibi and say, hey, I came to a new agreement with Hamas, so stop. And it's not against Trump. This is just the pattern. It has been with every president. It was until yesterday, figure of speech, yesterday with Trump too. And the reasons that I'm praying for progress is I'm praying for President Trump to stay where he's at without changing sides or positions or thinking he can reach another peace and make his way to heaven. I did just mock him. Yes, it's okay. We can mock him. That's the only part I'm a little concerned with. However, I'm very happy, regardless of who's saying what. I think me and you, Barry, I want to say this was 4 years ago. We were live on Facebook, my page and American Truth Project. And I asked you this question very randomly, and you had your answer. And as I'm talking to you right now, it's like deja vu, because back then I said, they make Israel the bad guys. They have always made Israel the bad guy. What's stopping them from doing the right thing? They're the bad guys anyways. Today, it feels like Bibi Netanyahu finally realized, listen, they're going to drag us into International Criminal Court anyways. They're going to kill our people anyways. They're going to rape our daughters anyways. So I might as well do what's right for my people and let's prove them I am the bad guy. But the question is he really going to do it this time?
Bibi or Trump?
No, I have no doubt Trump will try to change mind. I'm talking about Bibi. Because that day, if you remember, it was another ceasefire. We both were very frustrated that why would Bibi even answer Biden? This was Biden's time. Why would he even answer Biden's phone call? So my question is, is Bibi done answering any phone calls? And is he just going to finish it? Or is he going to pick up those calls?
I can tell you what I hear from Israel, especially from the supporters of Likud, which is the managing party of the coalition of which Bibi is the head of the Likud party. Those people are cautiously optimistic that Bibi will have the backbone to stick it out this time until the very end. And the pressure on Israel mounts every day. Sometimes it's something silly, like the flotilla led by what do they call her? The Doom Goblin. I think that's the latest nickname, which is adorable in a perverted sense. They are steaming towards Israel right now. I don't know how many little boats there are, but they're broadcasting all over the world that the flotilla will break through the Gaza, I guess you'd call it blockade, and deliver much needed supplies, even though all the boats combined carry less than one truckload of supplies. It's all BS. It's for, as one person quotes all the time, it's a selfie flotilla, so they can get their names and pictures on Instagram and TikTok every 5 minutes. I think it takes a lot of courage to be Bibi Netanyahu right now. The world's opinion is an onslaught against tiny little Israel. None of these countries start their sentences and their condemnations with the hostages must be released. This vicious Nazi-like cult of death must be destroyed. That would be the appropriate way to start the conversation. And let's make sure that people have enough food, have enough water, have enough power. And then let's talk about the day after Hamas is defeated and how will Gaza be put back together. It's literally backwards, which is stop the war immediately, stop starving the Gazans. And none of these people have been there. You know, I was very irritated to read about this coalition of experts, I guess you'd call them, who have said that there's the equivalent of a Holocaust going on in Gaza right now, which is completely untrue. There is not mass starvation. There is not intentional disruption of food and denial of basic supplies to the Gazans. They have more food in Gaza than in a dozen countries where real starvation is going on. But the cameras aren't in the Sudan, and the cameras aren't in the Congo, and the cameras aren't in Yemen, either for the lack of food or the slaughter of indigenous peoples, mostly Christians, that are going on in those territories. The focus of the world's social media, and therefore the politicians, is on horrible Israel being blamed for what the Nazis did and being aligned with them in the eyes of these people that are watching, which disgusts me to no end as a son of Holocaust survivors that went through the Nazi Holocaust at Auschwitz. I know what that's like. I grew up with it. This is not that. And 99% of the people who comment are TikTok keyboard warriors who don't leave their parents' basements except to dye their hair pink and go scream in front of TV cameras. If Bibi can hold the line long enough for the troops on the ground to wipe out Hamas, the world's opinion will change. It will change immediately. And I pray that he can do it. The pressure on him must be tremendous. I need to comment about your 3% relating to Donald Trump. I share the same worry you do, Annie, that Trump is a media creature frequently. And just today, he said, this has got to be wrapped up. This has got to end quickly, because he's feeling the pressure internally from his own Congress, from his own party, and from world leaders. And it takes a lot of courage to stand alone. Being in a crowd doesn't make you right or wrong, but being out in front of the crowd when you know you're right and they're screaming and shooting the arrows into your back is the hardest thing in the world. And that is true courage. And right now, today, September 3rd, Bibi Netanyahu is Winston Churchill in 1942 and 1943, standing up against Nazi Germany when the world was against him. It's a tough place to be. I don't envy that man at all.
Exactly. Listen, guys, sit tight. Send in your comments, questions, anything you want me to read to you, Barry. We're going to take another ad break. When we come back, we'll conclude on this, and then we're going to shift gears to something related to Israel and Palestine, but a lot of different. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHousebg.com.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. And let me remind you, please, every time we take an ad break, if you see a product that is of your need, please check them out. Because if you switch to our sponsors, that way you support the network. When the network is supported, guess what happens? We continue having a platform. As those of you who have followed me for a while, I don't last long in platforms. They tend to remove my show. I'm a big mouth and get out. So while I have still some good microphone here at Word YouTube, I will ask you to support the network so I can continue coming back on air with you guys. Okay. Before we went to break, you said something, Barry, that I kind of want to add to and then take your take on it. Two things. Yes, Gazans are suffering. There's no denying that. Not necessarily a starvation, but they're suffering. They're either suffering because they believe in Allah, so their soul is in, eternal hell, or they're suffering because they don't believe in Allah, but they can't say that I don't believe in Allah because they're going to be killed. That is the biggest suffering I see Gazans or any other residents of Islamic societies face. But here's where else you forgot to say there are no cameras. In Iran. The cameras aren't in Iran. As of this morning, September 3rd, 2025, for every dollar, one single dollar, you will receive 100,000 tumans in Iran. Tuman is their currency. Everything is so expensive that there are families who are genuinely out there actively looking for patients who are willing to buy their kidney. They're selling kidneys to feed their children. There are fathers who throw themselves in front of buses or cars because they are worth more dead than alive, because there's such a thing as blood money in Iran. You want to talk of starvation? Iranians are starving, Barry. They're starving through hands of their own regime. Where are the cameras? Where are the tears? Where are the protests and rallies?
No Jews, no news.
So just figured our audience should know it's not just Sudan and Gaza or even, places that you're like, the Iran that you see on the news every day, the people of Iran can barely. I personally know families who have not had any sort of beef as protein in their homes for over 6 months because they can't afford it. Fish, chicken, ground beef, you name it, they can't. It's a dream at this point. And Iran is one of the richest.
They turn on the faucet, nothing comes out half the time. There's no water pressure because Iran has had a stupendous drought combined with no infrastructure upgrades because the mullahs have spent all available cash, and cash they didn't have that they could borrow against the natural resources of the country, because the country is incredibly wealthy in a natural resources sense, because they spend it on missiles and bombs and supporting terror groups around the world, because they must spread the word of jihad, and the survival, whether it's minimal survival or even adequate survival of their people, is immaterial to them. It's astounding that they all haven't, the leaders of the coalition of mullahs haven't all been killed. It just astounds me they're still in power.
But that's where I want to go next with this. You're right. Yes, they're running out of water. And let's not forget the fact that mullahs do send cash, $5,000. I just told you the translation of dollar, my audience. $1, 100,000 tuman. They send dollar. Mullahs send $5,000 per Palestinian family whose husband, son, brother, whatever, is either in prison for committing jihad or was killed for committing jihad. They receive $5,000 reward, while Iranian people sit there waiting for water. Randomly, 2 days straight, they have no electricity whatsoever, and they can barely feed themselves. And that's what the regime does, paying the poor Gazans who are starving, Yeah, 5,000. 5,000 is plenty of money in Gaza as well, isn't it, Barry? I mean,
You know what I
5,000
think?
is plenty of money
You
here
know, we
too.
should add. What we should add to the discussion. I bet your viewers don't know this. Out of all the Middle Eastern countries, the Arabs and the Persians, and I'm including Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar,
Wait.
and Kuwait. Then you can go north, Iran. Guess how many Palestinian refugees all of these countries combined have offered to take? Absolutely none. Not a single person. In fact, on October 8th, the day after the massacre, Egypt started building the biggest, most impenetrable barrier in the history of the Middle East on the Rafah Sinai border. It is impenetrable because not one Palestinian would be admitted into Egypt. And by the way, if you ever look at a map, the Sinai all by itself is many times the size of Israel. They could take all the millions and relocate them in a few weeks. Gaza would be empty, the war would be over, people could live in tents until things are being built, and the world would pay for it. And Egypt said not a single Palestinian. And Jordan, ruled by the Hussein family, the same as Iraq was for many years. They were, I think, cousins. It's largely a Palestinian tribal country ruled by an interloper family in the fashion of the monarchy that was appointed by the British. They don't want any of them. Why? Because the last time they were there was Black September, and there was a revolution and a civil war. Lebanon doesn't want any of them because the last time they were there was a civil war. No Palestinians. The only country that takes them, the only country is Qatar or Qatar, depending how you say it, and they only take the billionaires.
I was just about to say, Qatar only allows Palestinians through investment. That's how they
buy their way in.
Yes, Qatar does not accept asylum or refugee from Palestine. If you have money to invest, then buy your residency, not even a citizenship. You know what, since you brought it up, why is it that Americans don't do any study realizing that anywhere in the Middle East, doesn't matter which country from which country, they don't just hand you a citizenship. Like Afghans are in Iran generations. I personally, very recently, one of the actresses that I very much adore her talents, she is a fourth generation Iranian Afghan. They just deported her father, which would have been the third generation, born in Iran from an Afghan background. They just deported him, and everyone was like, why did he never become a citizen? I was like, oh, in Iran, if you're not Iranian born, you're never a citizen. There are no conditions to become a citizen. No options, no tests, nothing. So every time over here, we're just handing out citizenship. Because thanks to Obama, at least during my time, I had to pass the test. I had to learn some English. I had to study the Constitution, all of that. But since Obama, you don't even do that. Just go to your doctor. You tell him to give you some sort of paper that you got issues. You can't memorize. You can't learn languages. You get your citizenship. We're handing out citizenship to these people when their own people don't accept them. But yes, Qatar will accept. They will give you green card, let's say. If you have enough money to invest in some sort of business, or start a business, or become part of a chain business, then yes, Qatar will accept you. Doesn't matter which country in Middle East you're from. They will allow you to do that. Actually, Dubai is working towards that as well.
Just for fun. And it's a little bit of a digression, so forgive me for this, but I want your viewers to hear this. Unlike the United States, under the Biden administration, if you broke into the country, thereby committing several felonies, not misdemeanors, felonies, it's a crime, contrary to what many Democrats say. Oh, they're undocumented aliens. They're criminal felons when they break into the United States. And then we take them and support them with free education and free health care and free transportation, and sometimes all the way through college, and they get to vote, and they get to have driver's licenses, and they get to have a nice house loan to buy a house in California and so on. We treat them better than we treat Americans, and better than, especially the way we treat veterans. If any Palestinians were able gather up their family and break into Jordan, break into Egypt, break into Lebanon, Syria, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, what would happen to them?
Well, depend on the Saudi Arabia, they would be arrested, put in prison, possibly trial, and depending on what formats of Palestinian they are, they could face lashes and deportation, or they could face deportation. If they go to Iran, it's arrest, immediate deportation with fine. You have to pay the fine before you're deported. Until you have the money, you stay in prison in Iran. It could be forever. If you have the fine to pay, then they will immediately. Same thing with Turkey. You do that in Turkey, they will put you in prison until you pay your fine, and then they will put you in a bus and deport you, or plane, or wherever you need to go. I know Jordan has a tougher policy. I have heard a few cases of 15 to 20 years prison sentence.
Just wanted to point out,
I'm aware.
I wanted to thank you for that. I appreciate it. And your viewers need to really hold on to this. These countries are as compassionate as a rock for their cousins who they support vigorously against Israel. But don't for a minute think we're going to help them by giving them a place to live, a safe space to raise their children, to work and feed their families. No, we're not doing that. Let the Jews take care of that, because it's the Jews' problem. Even though, we might add, since 2005, they've had their own country. Gaza. They've
You
ruined
literally
it.
took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, nobody needs to take care of them. We gave them a country. Just sit there and enjoy life. Oh, wait, you don't know how to enjoy life.
Everybody forgets. Everybody intentionally forgets there has been a Palestinian state since 2005. Egypt was offered the Gaza Strip back, and they said, no, thank you. We don't want it. We had it from 1948 to 1967. It was a disaster. Israel won it back in 67 in the war, and then gave it back to Egypt, and Egypt said, no, thank you. So in 2005, in a fit of temporary insanity, in my opinion, Ariel Sharon gave it back. Well, didn't give it back, gave it to the Palestinian Authority, who promptly called for elections. The people there, as we know, elected a death cult, and they've been living under it ever since. And by the way, in a new poll just out, they would still re-elect Hamas.
Oh, yeah.
In Gaza.
Let's do this. Let's take our last ad break, and then we'll come back, close the show. And I promise this time I will look and make sure if you have any questions or comments for me or Barry, I will grab them before we close the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a minute.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
Back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. We are on the last segment of the show and talk about Walt. Guys, we still need about 139 of you to step in as paid subscribers on my Substack, and I can almost guarantee you won't be disappointed. It is $8 a month. If you sign up for a whole year, you get 10 months. You pay 10 months, get 2 months free. I do need to meet this 139 left to be able to finish the project that I have shared with you in more detail with the paid subscribers, less detail, but this book needs to be done. In order for me to write a book, to finish this research, I can't necessarily walk across the street and work at the gas station. So yeah, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to become a paid subscriber. If you're not a subscriber at all, waiting for invitation, this is your personal invitation from the author. Please join me on Substack. I do publish daily my show streams there, and we do live Q&As over there as well. Okay, I actually have an interesting question, Barry, from one of our audience, I believe coming from YouTube. He says, if we are always saying Israel is the last hope in Middle East, then do we have or do we not have programs to aid them with advanced weaponry? What say you?
Say that again. Just repeat the question, please.
If we're always saying Israel is the last hope in the Middle East, then do we or do we not have programs to aid Israel with advanced weaponry?
Well, yeah, the answer is obviously yes. But what most people don't know, and I can tell you from the experience of interviewing the ambassador from Israel to the United States on weapons procurement, what most people don't know is there is a law in the United States that requires Israel to spend the vast majority of military aid dollars that it gets in the United States. So in other words, I think it's about 80% of what they get. So if they get $1 million, they must spend a minimum of $800,000 on the list provided by the United States of American defense contractors who are manufacturing the parts, supplies, and actual weapons that Israel buys and imports from the United States. So there's a circle of the money. Israel does not have the ability to mass produce like the United States does, especially in the area of jet aircraft. The advanced weaponry of the F-15, the 16, the F-22, and the F-35 as examples. Those are the finest planes in the world, and Israel buys a whole lot of them, more than any other country, with American dollars. It's a circle, and that's how the United States keeps the defense industry happy and keeps Israel supplied. It's not charity, it's a circle of the money. Israel gets the money and gives it right back. Israel does not have the capacity, although they tried once with the Kafir. They could not manufacture a jet up to American standards. I will say, though, just as an interesting aside, since I have sat in the jets in a secret air base in northern Israel, the jets get delivered without avionics. And what that means is it's a stripped down airplane. The engines are intact and most of the equipment is there, but the fine advanced avionics, the heads up display, the advanced radar, the air targeting systems, and so on, almost all of that is Israeli designed, is Israeli manufactured, is in Israeli installed equipment, which they then share with the United States openly and quite eagerly. And that cements that relationship between technology and cooperation of intelligence, which is then the basis of the advanced fighter training, for example, that the Air Force gets there. Qualifying to be in the Israeli Air Force is the toughest of any Air Force in the world. It's a big honor to get your flight approval and to sit in the seats of either the front or back seat of some of those airplanes, which is why, if you've noticed, you've never heard of a jet being shot down by anybody in the Middle East for a very, very long time. And I'm talking about thousands of missions, not hundreds, thousands. You never hear about a downed Israeli plane. The pilots are that good. The American technology combined with the Israeli technology is that good.
Yes, can you do me a favor, Barry? If you could repeat the sentence you said, Israel is not capable of mass producing. Can you repeat that sentence for me?
They're not capable of producing mass quantities of jet airplanes. So they buy American airplanes.
Unlike America, right?
They buy, yeah, America does it every day. I mean, we're the largest producer of jet aircraft in the world, and we produce in the United States, courtesy of the fighter aircraft coming out of, say, Fort Worth, as an example. I've been to the factory there. It's a massive production plant, and
Yes,
it's
and
billions
that's
and billions and billions invested in it.
exactly. That's why I wanted you to repeat that. And I will just add to a wonderfully answered part of Barry to the comment. That is exactly why we help Israel, but then we fund Israel's enemies. So the war continues because we mass produce the weapons they all need.
Oh,
Felicia, do
yeah.
you want to
Right
comment?
now, Turkey is lining up to try and buy the advanced stealth aircraft, which I think is going to be blocked by the United States. I wouldn't sell Turkey a yo-yo at this point. They are so anti-American, they are so anti-West, and they are a jihad on the brink of breaking out of Turkey. Erdogan makes no secret of the fact that he wants the, well, shall we say, the empire back. And
Exactly.
he talks about it all the time. And we are stupid in the West for, he's just talking. He's still a member of NATO. That just astounds me. And he has banned Israeli planes from his airspace.
Exactly. So I just wanted to be clear that, yes, on the paper, United States of America helps Israel, and they say that we're allies of Israel. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, United States of America or Europe or Canada or any of the countries, bottom line is it's about power, and that's it. So they help Israel. On the other hand, they go and literally fund the enemies. You know, PLO is receiving humanitarian aid, money, cash, actual cash, and everyone, including the anti-Semites out there, are very well aware that that money is turning around and funding the Palestinian terrorists and the jihadists, from the 5-year-olds all the way to the 30-year-old.
All true. And we're also, like you just alluded to, we are supplying advanced weaponry to Egypt, to Jordan, to Saudi Arabia, to Kuwait. The largest air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. Thousands of troops, and it's an enormous air base. And Qatar is the major funder, sponsor, and supporter of, get this, Hamas. So when Witkoff gets sent by Trump to Qatar to negotiate peace with Hamas, he's negotiating with the enemy. He's negotiating with the funder of Hamas. The irony must not be overlooked by Americans who can't figure out, why doesn't Hamas release the prisoners? If tomorrow, and I mean this sincerely, and I wish it was a headline in the Western press, if Trump said to Qatar, we're closing the airbase, we're moving it to Saudi Arabia, you have 10 days to get all the hostages out, they'd be out in 9. No question. The devastation to Qatar would be financially ruinous for the country. It would take some big cojones, as they say in Spanish, to do it. If Trump did it, the war would be over.
That is an if that will never happen.
Instead, we negotiate with them.
Oh, no, instead we accept a private jet from them as a gift. It's nothing, it's just a gift. Oh, come on.
I hope to God we never use it. I maybe put it in a museum. That's just
from what I understand, he already did a test run with it. The
Secret Service says it'll take more than $1 billion to convert it. That's not worth it. Let's buy from Boeing.
Right? What's the point? Okay. As always, this hour flew by, and I think, by the way, again, I want to be very clear to my audience. Every other Wednesday, Barry has graciously and generously offered his time to live up to freedom. So he'll be back in 2 weeks, Wednesday, from there, every 2 weeks. And if there's a breaking news, of course, we're going to break that chain and have him back more regularly. But we are at the end of today's segment, Barry. So first of all, tell people where to go, how to find you, find Barry, and how to support you and your organization and your mission. Because, well, you're doing the right thing out there.
And we started with you 1,000,000 years ago. I think it was 10 years ago.
I'm not that old.
Okay, you were in 6th grade, had just arrived from Iran. We are at I think 4.3 million followers on American Truth Project. We'd love to have you join the club. It's very simple. Just go to findbarry.com, findbarry.com. It links you right into the American Truth Project website where you can sign up for free. Get all of our content, including excerpts from this show, absolutely for free because we never charge for content. Findbarry.com. Sign up and you'll get probably something like 30, 40 shows a week, excerpts that you can read, watch, listen to at your convenience, and get the truth that we put out all the time, just like you.
Absolutely, yes. And all the laughing aside, yes, we did the start 9 years ago, me and you. And it has been definitely a blessed 9 years of my life during when I was your national director, or afterwards, where we used to collaborate on trying to bring the truth on this very sensitive topic that we are the minority discussing it without shame. And he's very humble, guys. American Truth Project is a 501c3. So when you go to findbarry.com, click that donate button. It is a 100% tax deductible donation. They need these donations because, well, no war has ever been fought for free. So go sign up for the newsletter and then go ahead and make a tax-deductible donation to American Truth Project because, well, as I said, they're doing the right thing. Barry, as always, you are wonderful to have on the show. I never get tired of talking to you, discussing the truth, and I look forward to having you back in 2 weeks on Wednesday.
And I look forward as well. Thank you so much for having me, and you keep on being the courageous warrior you are. You have my undying loyalty and admiration.
Thank you. I love you, Barry. I appreciate you. And to you guys who stayed with us until now, you're amazing. Thank you. By the way, I'm just going to address you. Handle on YouTube, Islam Forever. I was going to address your comment, but then I figured if somebody is so blind to put their handle Islam Forever, yeah, I'm going to keep my breath for someone who can actually have some understanding of my topic. So, but thanks for joining the discussion today. I won't be, we won't be having a Mission for Freedom show tomorrow. As you know, Miriam is dealing with the loss of her father, and I will just skip the show. Forgive me. We will be back next Monday. Until then, continue checking out my Substack. Lots of new projects coming out. Few of them, I think, pretty good, if I might say myself. LUTFstudio.com, LUTFstudio.com. Promo code MISSION is where you can purchase